Hello. Yes, it's working. We are in Kincumber Library doing the promotion, launch, whatever it is, of our wonderful book, Unexpected Life. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Good coming, everyone. And I would like to acknowledge the custodians of this country, who are the Guringai and Yalkinjung people, and I pay my respects to elders past and present and future. I'm doing the acknowledgement because this isn't my country. If I went to the far west, that's where I am. So thank you very much, and I will enjoy the rest of the proceedings.
Thank you, Romaine.
Please welcome Vesna.
Good afternoon. I can't tell you how happy I am to see you all here, and how grateful I am, and how proud it makes me to have people who have so much wisdom and so many experiences and life events that you've all gone through, to come and hear our story. My story, Romaine's story, and the story of 10 other women that are presented, as Kirsten explained, in our book. The book is titled Unexpected Life. Not at all an unexpected title for what it presents. I also wish to thank the before we go any further, Kincumber Library, and I also want to thank for the acknowledgement of the country here, and I also wish to thank the country for accepting me and for accepting my family here. Kincumber is a place that I met for the first time about 20 years ago when my husband and I came here for a wonderful holiday, and we stayed in Ettalong, and we loved the whole area of Central Coast, and just every time we have an opportunity we like coming back. It's not that often, but we do like coming here, so thank you for accepting us here as well. This is a little agenda that we've put together, Romaine and I, so that we keep on keep ourselves on our toes with time, and that you also know what's coming up. I wish in particular to welcome or thank Romaine for her enormous energy and commitment to this project and to this event, and for organizing this event as well. And what else can I say, and who else should I thank? I really do thank the higher powers who sometimes just play their role. And one of those moments, it was when I woke up in the middle of the night and thought, I do need to do this book that is going to talk about my dear friends, women who might not ever get acknowledged in the way this book has actually, I believe, acknowledged them. And we sat together through Zoom, and technology, thanks technology for existing and helping us, about 3.5 years ago. And we said, and I said, I would like to do this project because I think that all of you who are my friends and who are all migrants and who have all come from different parts of the world and have had different experiences, and I know your stories, I would like to share these stories, including my own, with the world. So this book is about sharing our lives, our true experiences, some painful, some happy, successes, whatever it means to each and every one of us. I really wish to talk about migrant women's experiences in this country. They come from all over the world, as Kirsten said, and a lot of topics are actually covered in this book, but we'll get to there a little bit later. For now, I would like to invite Romaine to tell us a little bit about herself and about her role in this project.
Thank you. here without Vesna and her friendship with me. Can you hear me okay? Yep. I hope you will want to buy the book, or otherwise there's a library copy that you can borrow. But Vesna and I met in 1996 when I was living and working in Canberra. And when she sent me an email, I think it was October 2021, saying she had this project in mind, would I be interested in contributing? I said, of course I would. I was so impressed by her imagination, about her planning skills. I didn't know much about a lot of her story until I actually read the book. But I thought, yes, I want to be involved. And I also want to thank Roslyn and Brooklyn for coming to give us the acknowledgement of Guringai country, which is just such a wonderful place for us to have found out what will be the end of our lives here, I think. It's just it's just such a beautiful place, and Kincumber Library became a very special place to me and to Roz and to Lorraine and to Tony. And last year when I volunteered with Together Yes, a fine organization based in Melbourne, to build up the case for the yes vote. And I will explain more later on after Vesna speaks about her story, about what that no vote has meant to a lot of us, including Roz. And I will explain again when I'm speaking after you, Vesna. But thank you very much for coming. It's been a pleasure to have you and Miloš visit us, and my privilege to have you here. Thank you. Thank you.
About myself, I was 28 when I came to Australia in 1990. You might remember that that was the year in which Yugoslavian war started. If you remember the country of Yugoslavia, that's the country I was born in and loved and lived in. And then with my husband and two little babies, 3 and 8 months old, 3 years old and 8 months old, came to Australia. And the war started. We actually came as not as tourists. We did get the right visas, but we came to see how it was, and we liked it. Luckily, because the war started, and then we had to decide what to do. And I decided to resign from my job. I was a lawyer in the tax department, of all departments. It was fun, anyway, not that much. And I had to study law again. I did that, completed my graduate diploma in legal studies as well, and was ready to embark on my professional career. Did a little bit of law in a private, family-oriented, very friendly place, but decided that probably at that stage in my life, public service, again, I know, there are many, many ideas about public service. I've seen it from many different angles, from successes to bullying and many other things. And it's all mentioned in the book from various angles and from various women. Those experiences have stayed with me in such a way that I couldn't wait to resign at the age of 57 and retire. And now I feel that I'm free, that I'm richer for that experience, but it is something that will always have a little hurtful place in my heart, because not all experiences that I've had in my career were nice. And some of those were directly related to the accent that I have, the type of name I have, the surname I have, the way I walk, talk, greet people, not greet people, make jokes, not make jokes, and it can be very hurtful. And this book is not just about those of my experiences, but those of my friends as well. I'll hand it over now to Romaine to tell us about her story and her migration experiences.
Thank you, Vesna. As I said to you when I got Vesna's first email in 2021, yes, I was so impressed by her planning, her ideas, and she had categorized me as an academic, and I said, that's the one thing I am not, so please change it. I'm a public servant, like most of the others. And so that was the first change that she made for me. But I have been so enthralled by reading all her stories, and I'm dying to know who some of those other bullies in the Department of Health were, who are mentioned by some of the other storytellers. But we can talk about that maybe over breakfast tomorrow. I think after reading all the other stories, I was the luckiest of all the women that Vesna talks about, as included in the book, because I was brought up speaking English. Both my parents were English speakers. I went to a school that was established by an order of English Anglican nuns. And so I was fluent in English. I didn't have to learn a new language when I came here. And by the time I got married in Sri Lanka in January '69, my then husband and I both had relatives who had already migrated. His family were in Canberra and Melbourne, mine mostly in Sydney. And I had a sister who had already come to Sydney to study at the National Institute of Dramatic Art, NIDA. So I had lots of connections here. I didn't feel lonely, unlike lots of others of your friends. And so that was I think, a very lucky thing for me. In my first job in Sydney was working for Time Life International in what I described in one of my speeches to the National Women's Health Conference in 1995. I found myself working in a clerical factory, and it was based in North Sydney, a beautiful part of Sydney, and we had a whole floor of women slaving away, looking at invoices and orders for Time magazine and Life magazine, and the only male who had his own bathroom was the supervisor for the entire floor of about 26 odd women. And that was my first experience, and I decided after a few, as I said I think I said in my story, we were lucky when we came in February '69 because both my husband and I took only 2 weeks to find full-time employment. I was told, we both went to employment services, I was told that I was overqualified, but I managed to get, after 6 months, a job as a graduate clerk in the Postmaster General's department in Martin Place, which I loved working in. My husband, who was about 8 years older than I, he was too old to join the public service because he didn't have a degree and I did. So he had to join as a clerical assistant. And I think the fact that I earned more than he did led to some of the conflicts that grew in our marriage, which ended up after about 10 years. I talk about how I moved to Canberra. Every week the Commonwealth Gazette would be full of all these jobs all around Australia. And because I had cousins and friends in Canberra, I would look for a job in Canberra, and I think I applied for 17 jobs. And the one job that I got, I was so thrilled with. It was the Tertiary Education Commission in Belconnen. But in the end, I only ended up working there for 6 months, because then I got a job at the University of Wollongong, which used my research skills more than my job in Canberra did. So I moved to Wollongong. House prices were a lot cheaper than in Canberra, and I was thrilled working there at the university. And I think David and Kathy, you came to visit me, and lots of my Canberra friends came to visit me there too. It was a very happy home, happy place. And then it was there that I met, as I described, the love of my life, Tony. and get up and bow. And it was his job in Canberra that I upped and took my partly finished PhD thesis and went to live with him in Canberra.
Thank you.
And I just loved the time that I had in Canberra, and it's lovely to have met David and Kathy there, as well as Sydney, as well as Wollongong. And it was there that I met Roz, and I was able to give her an appointment to the National Disability Advisory Council, for which I was part of the Secretariat in the Office of Disability in the then Department of Health, until the Howard government came in. They abolished the department. They abolished ATSIC, they abolished the interim disability network on which Roz worked. And she can talk more about it if there's time at the end, if you want to hear her story, which is equally important. How are we going for time? I did want to tell you that in my, yes, I've got to the pages. Towards the end of my story, I talked about beginning making steps to become a philanthropist. And I started by donating scholarships for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children to study at the Central Coast Conservatorium of Music. This is after Tony and I were both sacked from the public service in Canberra. And he said the surf is lousy in Canberra. So he had, when he had young children, loved the Central Coast. So
Kincumber.
yes, so we moved here, and I'm excited that in 2014 I made the first endowment through the Australian National University, and I've written here for what will be my major legacy after my death: the funding of a postgraduate qualification from a woman from Sri Lanka to study at the National Centre for Epidemiology and Population Health, NCEF. Tony was invited to speak at the 30th anniversary of NCEF in 2018 again, where we saw all our lovely friends. And Dr. Kamalini Lokuge, OAM, she was Alumna of the Year at the ANU for her work on Ebola in Africa, and then on COVID-19. She persuaded me to fund a pilot study graduate scholarship. Due to COVID, it was postponed from 2019, but the students started, and with her supervisors at NSEF, their first sessions in February and March 2021. Some of the other things I'm proud of include being on the management committee for the ACT Women's Health Network, and that's where I met Vesna, because the meetings were at that centre where she worked in 1996-97. And when I turned 70 in 2017, I decided to concentrate my energy on learning how to support the Uluru Statement from the Heart and campaign for a successful constitutional referendum for voice, treaty and truth. I also enjoyed my volunteer time away from paid work. I put a lot of effort into helping the ACT Women's Health Network and the Women's Electoral Lobby in Canberra to organise the third National Women's Health Conference in Canberra in 1995. That became huge. I think we had over 700 people turn up. And we had such a big representation of Indigenous women from around the country. And I do believe I played a big role in hassling all the Indigenous Health Branch staff to encourage people to come to Canberra for that conference. They were paid to their fares to get to Canberra. I was also on the ACT Branch Committee for the Public Health Association of Australia, and so from about 1993 until 2000, Tony and I would go to each of the annual conferences in each state and territory. And what I want to say, I think I'm running out of time, is that after the disastrous no vote got up in October last year, I was so grateful to Kirsten and Jess, who helped me to organize the Together Yes meetings here. You were so welcoming to Tony and Lorraine, to Roz and Brooklyn, and another 8 other people. And we had 2 meetings here. I think we all respected the week of silence, and for most of us it has been almost a year of silence. But after I read the Reconciliation Australia's motto, now more than ever, for 2024, I decided that I had to do something again. And I have gathered together a little group with Roz, Lorraine, Jean, and 2 others. Barbara, yes, thank you for coming, Barbara. And we have been meeting at Roz's home because it felt too small to use your library meeting room for that, and it was convenient for Roz and Brooklyn, and the rest of us have gone to her home. It's been very personal. It's been very important for me to give the opportunity of my long years now of meeting and working with Roz. She was one of 2 Aboriginal people on that national, the working party to set up a national Indigenous Disability Network, jointly between what was then the Department of Family and Community Services and ATSIC. And unfortunately, after that election, John Howard got rid of ATSIC, and I think we were all distraught after that. But we are not giving up, are we, Ross? We are not Ross, not Lorraine, not Jean, not Barbara. And we will continue, and I would like to encourage all of you who do not know personally Aboriginal people who live on the coast take this opportunity to get to know them, to honor their work, and to build a country of justice and recognition and respect, mutual respect. This is what I hope for Australia. This is what I think you hope for Australia and your children and grandchildren. And therefore, my legacy, I changed to fund in February of this year. I changed my will. So with the advice of Dr. Kamalini Lopage, she said, look, I understand your views. This was a pilot. It worked for me as well. It was the first time that I ever supervised an overseas student, and it was a good experience for me. But I do understand your views now. And so in future, my legacy is going to go to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students who want to study at the ANU in the health and medicine school. And Rachel is from the update from the Jamal Center, which is the center at the ANU that provides care and education for any and all Torres Strait Islander and Aboriginal students who come from all around our country. This is the awarded, this is what she sent me yesterday. We have awarded the Canberra Indigenous Undergraduate Scholarship in memory of Dr. Mary Rutnam, who is my grandmother. She was my role model. I was intrigued by so many of the other women's stories who talked about their mothers as their role model, and mine wasn't, but my grandmother was. And Mary Rutnam was my father's mother, a Canadian, who happened to meet her husband to be a Ceylon Tamil, as he was called, when he was lecturing in New York against the British Opium Wars. And the first Canberra Indigenous Undergraduate Scholarship in memory of my grandmother has been awarded to Michaela Helms. Michaela is a first-year health science student from Ulladulla in New South Wales, so near you. Michaela plans to follow a path into medicine. She is very connected with her culture and community and enjoys dance, swimming and time at the beach, which is what I love to do. So I thought I'd report that to you. So that's a correction to what you will read in the book.
Thank you, Romaine. Thank you, Romaine. It's great to hear that your initiative and your dedication to the issue actually has materialized, and that you do now have someone who is going to benefit, and the whole society, from her skills.
I hope so.
Yes. Thank you for that. So we are at the end of our presentation. I hope that we have sparked your interest and curiosity. I didn't talk much about the other women, although I wholeheartedly wish to acknowledge them and their courage to share some very private stories. But I would like to say that if you are interested in politics, you can find aspects of politics and why some people have left Chile, for example, or Peru, or Bosnia. If you are interested in women's health, you will hear stories about childbearing or childbirth and losing children and not knowing how to communicate with the health workers and how it feels in those terrible moments of a woman's life. if you are interested in gaining or you have someone who is gaining education and working hard, just imagine not knowing all the words that are in front of you, and you have to check every second sentence. What's this word about? What's this word about? How much time and effort does that take? All our friends are talking about their experiences. So dive in, join the community that supports migrants and women and women's issues and all the issues that Romaine has been talking about, and indigenous and our land's prosperity that depends on all of us. So thank you.
Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you so much, Vesna and Romaine. That was so interesting. The book, An Unexpected Life, is for sale at the back, so you can go and see Milosh, and hopefully these lovely ladies may sign copies for you. Very special. So thanks again for coming, everybody, and a big thank you to